This is Gerald Jonas. One of the things we could do with my theory that says that every letter is also sort of positioned in time and space, and they are quite balanced in each other, so that you can do a lot with it and then quickly find its balance as well. It's a kind of structure that we use unconsciously to keep that balance also between the letters, how we hear the differences, and in a way how we could also see the differences, how we could recognize the differences. I can make this process conscious, or I can use it, or even derive elements from it. The point is that every word really is describing also what it is, what it should be described. And I could also use the full system as a three-dimensional focus. Although the first focus of 9 letters is about very steady points in space, with just points in space in 3 dimensions already, or just in points, which can have a 3-dimensional surrounding so that you know where they are. The next points are then the movements, the 9 dimensions of movement. So that's what you could also derive them as arrows, let's say, within this 3-dimensional space, and then still can figure out, okay, how the movements and changes are there. And then the last 9 positions are the real 3-dimensional space itself, from which it also is steering how you can find your point of movement or of steadiness from there. And all of them can be seen as a 3-dimensional space in which you can have to find the points and directions. And that's the way how we're going to use it in describing the word horse. And H is one of the last categories, so it immediately starts from that 3-dimensional focus from outside, where we have to find our focus. So we don't have our focus yet, but we're going to find it from there. It's that contextual vision from the 3-dimensional space itself, which also says there is vertical feedback there. So there we have to find our points. In a way, it also says it's at the second level. There you just 2 points, 2 directions are good enough to find from where to where it actually starts. But in this 3-dimensional view, I show them here as then from full spatial frame in which 2 directions should make up the balance. So in a way, it is of course within a bigger cube. It is not the outer cube; it's the within cube. Actually, if you have to see it geometrically, this will change. This will go over into the O sound. The O is with 2 focuses actually. So I mean with 2 frames, that so from beginning to end. So it will be about some kind of movement or change or positions. Then we will try to have positions as good as possible. So we need actually not then the 3 cubes to make our visualization, but just 2 cubes should be enough. These 2 cubes in which we should have the O connections. But it's just 2-dimensional, so it's in the 2 dimensions enough. So of course also here I will take the middle slice, the 2 verticals that go over to this frame, from the frame of 3 to the frame of 2. This is all geometrically, so we're going to build up the O from there, and there will be the O, which is the movement, which goes from one spatial orientation or environment to the next one with certain conditions. The conditions that should also be different from the first one, first starting point to the next ending point. So we have already ho here. The R will be the connection points. It's also about that contextual. The R will also lie in between these zones, so not the outer shell, but the middle frame where all the material lies. There it will make connections to the points of O, and it can go in all kinds of directions. It it has that reference of 3 frames, and the 2 points should be different. So best to also make up your mind. There's a before and there's an after. So you have the hor and hor, which is now making it a bit better visible. Or I can even show the difference from before and after. So I don't know if all these points will be necessary, probably not. But then the next frame will be the S. It's also needed into the 3 focuses, the 3 framed focuses. The outer shell, the S from the outer shell is that. What does it have to do there? The S says that it is the there you have to connect the dots from the outside. So if I do that from the outside and I'll connect all these dots that there are, I almost have accidentally something that quite fits to the horse. Not completely. I don't see the walking area yet, but the E is also the extension. You have the extensions point. Just imagine that I have the R connections even more as an extension as well, and go from there. So I have here the extensions of the R to S, from R to S towards the extensions, and these extensions, which I will take, in 2 directions, into options is always options. In the last categories, it's looking for context, so they always have options left or right. So that is always a bit of a question there. What shall I choose? What's the best in context to choose, left or right? Nothing more than that, actually. And then the extras, which are not just in the directions of R, the extras should also be going in the ending as a timing, a changing highlights, actually. So there are the highlights which I will end into. This is the moves of the horse, actually. It's not 100% perfect. I'm also not so good in explaining everything, but when I connect the dots, how I should connect the dots, it's quite easy that I see, yes, this direction of horse is really going into that. I have the frame first, then the doubling situation before, after, which connects also left, right, and then in the end, it will connect all of these directions out at the outside. That's not easy, that I can have a formula for it, but if I just connect the dots from the outside, the last points, I almost have a vague form of where in between where this all kinds of directions are moving towards, and in the end is that movement, highlighting movement even, of where we land into in the end. From start to finish, it will have some kind of movement that is involved. It's all these kinds of movements and that are actually described in horse. It's maybe not the best of my descriptions, but I followed actually quite well the rules of geometric directions, actually. And when you start to follow, it's very quickly that you see, okay, it's going to be the horse, and that horse is what is described in that horse are mostly these kind of movements. That's what a horse is describing. If we would describe that with geometry even better, you will come to that form in the end. I can't do it too perfectly. I have it a bit loosely how I compiled it together, but you know the sense in the end. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.